Hi everybody, I'm Lee Carroll. I am the original channel of Kryon.
So it is good day to you, huh? Oh, so good to see you, your light, your brightness, your divine presence, your beings, you're beaming with energy right now, huh? Do you know that? When you move around, the electricity is not actually working, is it? It is just you, your bright iridescent light that is coming so forward and clearly. You have stepped up to the plate and you have volunteered to be here right now. Huh? And when you volunteer to be here, you get to volunteer to be everywhere. Because your light goes out around the planet. Yes? Dearly beloveds, everything is changing as it did 2,000 years ago. The world shifted. And as it shifted, many came into power. Many were afraid. We are thankful that you are rid of your fear. Your mission is every bit as important as mine was. Is in this holy sacred place. They teach many paths lead to one. They know in this sacred center of your heart, many paths may lead to one. But you're the one that were chosen to be here now again in these changing times, just as you were chosen for us to walk together. Yes, each of you. We see no strangers in this group. It is good to see you again. You have shorter hair. That mission of bringing love and compassion to this planet again. I implore you. I would like your help. Before it was really just me and a few others. They say 12, there was actually a lot more. And now we are here again at a turning point. So this planet can heal. So this planet can heal. So the people of this planet can heal. And those who have that healing mission will extend beyond where they thought their wildest dreams would take them, just because they say yes. I said yes. I'm grateful. You each are saying yes as well. We love you deeply. We see you as I am in your heart. hearts. So many have asked me, well, when are you coming back? Too late. Already here, right there, in your heart. Please help. In love. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Savaot. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Savaot. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Savaot. Namaste.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. The following message is offered as an addendum and also a duplicate, perhaps, of last night. And the reasoning for this is that I want this group to hear the same thing live that I said last night. It is seldom that we would repeat a message in this form. But when we do, you know it's important. The message is this. Shortly, there's going to be something called the Circle of 12. And I wanted to explain it as best I can. What might it be? What are the metaphors involved in the 12, even in the circle? Yes, there will be a circle. Yes, there will be 12. But there's more. It's the beginning of an energy where it's time. 31 years ago, when I came in to start giving messages, it was a slow process with my partner. 31 years ago, the whole crux of why I was here, the purpose, the energy, the focus, was not even known by my partner. But over the years, I told him that something was coming. The first book that was ever written, The Channels, the first channel ever given in the book, talked about the fact that the time was changing from all of your prophecies, that there would be no Armageddon, that the ball was starting to roll towards something else. And that something else became the prophecy of the ages, that humanity would sail past a time when it was predicted for its demise. You went past the year 2000 right into 2012. And dear ones, I'll tell you that none of your scriptures had you doing that. None of them. Even though words from Nostradamus told you that you wouldn't make it. From so many channels accurately saw that you wouldn't make it. It didn't make them wrong that they said that you wouldn't. It says a lot about the energy that was. And almost at the last moment, you pulled it out. My purpose here, from all of these years, was to guide you to that place. And then when you got there, to tell you more about what it was, the new normal, the new human, all of the things that are there for you to look at in the lineage of the Kryon messages that I've given. Always in love, always in compassion, never asking you to do anything that would be inappropriate, never giving you a doctrine, but only that you would look into the eyes of the Creator and see yourself. That's all I ever did. This won't change from that. It will get bigger. And it's going to change into a place and a way that is commensurate with everything in this building. Everything in this campus, this village, because I gave my partner instructions that he's going to start changing what he does, adding unto the messages of the shift, but going to a place that he didn't expect. Dear ones, you have no idea, not really, of what is inside you. If you were a child of the Creator, what might be there? Past 3D. What might be there that you've never been told you could do? Every single human being is a multidimensional creature on this planet, placed here on purpose. We know your names. You have passed this marker, and I'll tell you, there has been a galactic shift because of that. Those out there know what you've done. They've been waiting for it. It echoes what many of them have done, yes, all over. There are those like you, children of God. There will be a day when you meet the family, and you will recognize them, much like you. They'll have the same story about the love and the kindness and the compassion and what they've gone through and what their planets have gone through and their transition time and their wars. And you'll sit down and talk, and a whole new world will open to you as you listen to them and see yourself. It's coming. But all through your history, you have had story after story about the miracles that have occurred. The masters have come to this planet. Seemingly, they've raised the dead. Seemingly, there have been all manner of healings and miraculous things occur. And you just look at it and go, that master was so powerful. Look at this. Not understanding, even for a moment, that what the master had done was to set an energy so that the human involved could do the work. The master did not create the healing. The master created an energy allowing the healing to occur. There are many stories of those who have gone to the other side and come back, seemingly raised from the dead. This is also that which is your ability to come back from the brink of darkness, even after the pronouncement of death. Because you have this, dear ones, always have. Choice, soul choice, soul choice. It's not the choice of the ancestors, it's the choice of you. You have always had this spark, and you can call it whatever you want to. It's never been named because it's always been assigned to those that seem to be more important than you. You didn't even recognize it was you, but it always has been. If you're going to go into an evolvement of consciousness, if you're going to have the maturity of understanding so much more of that which is you, your soul, your connection with all that is, if you're going to go to that place, dear ones, you have to understand you're not going to sail into that place with an old energy. You're not just going to have the same old next to you. There's going to be new energies that must be developed and will be developed, awarenesses that never were there. Awareness that you're powerful. Awareness that there is more than you ever thought. In order to have that, there must be an energy of allowance that creates permission, where you can go into a place, feel the energy, and come out saying, I never realized this was mine to do. I never realized that alone, with my magnificence, I could do this. that's about to be created. I'm not the only one that's going to create this, dear one. We're calling it the Circle of 12. And it's going to happen soon for the first time. I've told my partner to slowly create this, explain it. I can't explain it to you, but I can try. If you've talked to anyone that has had spontaneous remission, it's seen as a miracle, isn't it? Isn't it? Every cell of the body resounds with something that almost changes the time. It's almost they went backwards in time, a time before the disease. Spontaneous remission is what it sounds like, spontaneous. It's not something, well, I'm going to get a little better now. It's where the disease leaves completely. Sometimes quickly, sometimes overnight, sometimes very fast. It can only be a miracle unless it isn't. What if it was the human soul, a piece of creation, starting to be multidimensional and actually controlling the chemistry of the body, chasing out the disease, creating an immune system which is more powerful than any you've ever seen just for a moment in time. And the disease surrenders to the power of the human being in its magnificence, in its God energy. Now take that energy and amplify it and put it in a room. A room you might be able to walk into and feel. A room where you could feel manifestation of your future. A room that would heal from anxiety and fear and might even change Akash. It might even take those things such as betrayal. You see, I know who's listening. And whereas you would wake up in the morning and have the sorrow of the betrayal and can't believe it, and it activates seemingly a dark part of your life and you can't get rid of it, imagine that diminishing so that you don't even remember it. That's a healing. Imagine being in such control of your cellular structure that you can feel the years being added to your life as you bask in that green light of magnificence. Imagine understanding for the first time, I've always had this. It just never was released. I've always had this. Always. There's so many kinds of healing. The healing of the body, the healing of fear, the healing of anxiety, the healing of the Akash. I told my partner to create that place. And I've also told him to tell those who approach it not to go in. Don't even think about going in unless they mean it. Don't go in to look around because not much would happen. That's how strong it is. I've told my partner to create this every single week in a way that many can experience it. I've told my partner to give away 25% of every meeting free and let the rest fund the whole system so that everyone can participate at some level, at some time. It is the circle of 12, dear ones, and the appropriate color will be green. A green that surpasses any kind of a green you've ever seen before. It permeates every cell. The circle of 12 is coming. And there will be those who will come and experience and say, well, I didn't feel anything. That's because all of this is pushed by free choice. Get ready for a new paradigm. The one you've come from says that outside help is the only way you're going to survive. And so you go to the buildings and you report and you kneel and you pray and you do this and you do that and you call for help, 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 expecting simply that lowly human you're told you are to receive something from the sky, not understanding that you own the sky, not understanding it's always been there, always been there. Miracles don't come from outside sources, dear ones. They come from inside. That's the message, isn't it? My partner will prepare to do this. And I will guide him through it. And it will be new to him. Creating this kind of energy, trying to explain it, and guiding those into it. In a multidimensionality, every single soul is everywhere at the same time. And that means all of this can be done from a distance, and yet you're there. That is the premise of having a multidimensionality as a reality. And you know it works. Not too far from here. The tower exists as a symbol for silent unity. And for over 100 years, they have created international, intergalactic, multidimensional energy of prayer. And they know that it goes everywhere all at once, way past the earth. It's like a beacon that can be seen by so many because it is divinely inspired and it features human beings aware of what prayer can do. An energy of intent and compassion and kindness that starts to bathe in that light of magnificent healing. And that's why it's been so successful. You don't need to come to the tower or kneel in order to receive that which they will broadcast as your helping hand. And they will tell you that what prayer does is not an offering to the sky or to the Creator. It's not a plea. It's not begging. It's an energy that goes right to the human being in trouble and says, you are magnificent. Stand up and be healed. That is the circle of 12. I wanted to tell you what it is so you would know, and those listening so they would know. And so there would be no mistake of the intent of what is to come. It is time for these kinds of changes. I won't be the only one. There will be others offering the same. This is what I wanted to tell you in this day, in this moment, in this time. Take this place in your heart when you leave. Your prayers make a difference. Pray for this place and those who run it, for those who are volunteering in it, and for the incredible lineage to continue and to continue. And so it is. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.
Please make yourself comfortable where you are sitting, in your living room, in your office, in your patio or your bedroom. Adjust your space. If you feel comfortable too, you may gently close your eyes. And bring your awareness more into your body, and from there to your energy. Take slow, conscious, nourishing breath, aware of the flow. Breathe and allow yourself to feel the energy of Source, of who you really are. Take another slow breath and relax deeper, opening more into your own being, into your love, into your divinity, into your beauty and magnificence, acknowledging as fully as you can your multidimensionality, the soul presence of who you truly are. Breathe and love yourself even more at this moment. And not only connecting with your soul deeper, but with all the other souls that are joining with us this morning and for the next 4 days in this beautiful multidimensional and internet experience, joining hearts and joining minds and joining in our energy, creating more coherence, bringing more awareness, expanding more our consciousness, stepping deeper into our wisdom, into our gifts, into our benevolence, into our space of joy. Breathe and love yourself even more. Allow yourself to connect deeper, expanding more, and feeling the love from all that is, and from the family beyond our physical presence that is joining us as well, with their support, with their unconditional love. Allow yourself to relax more, to feel more, to know more, to grow, and to understand. Take another deep breath. And as we are preparing this foundation of energy for ourselves for today, let us open our hearts, our energy, to the love, the wisdom, and guidance from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. For those who have not heard this message before, I give you a common message that I want you to hear, that I want you to understand fully. God, Spirit, the creative source, whatever you wish to call it, that which created you and all that is, knows what's happening right here, where you sit as you listen. I've said this before as well, that we are in a multi-dimensional place, and it's very difficult for you to understand that this message that I give now, even when it is listened to later, has the same effect. we know who you are. And in all beautiful love, we care about you. Wherever you are, wherever you sit, whatever has happened in your life is known by all those angels, if you wish to call it that, who surround you. As you sit there, I want you to understand that no matter what you have been told about who God might be, it is a caring, loving, beautiful, kind Creator that has put you here. There are so many right now who are saying, what is happening on the earth? This feels so different. And because of the difference, so many are in fear. Sometimes there's really nothing to fear, but you're in fear anyway. And the reason is because it's different. Humans love sameness. They don't like change that much unless they are planning it or in control of it or expect it. So sometimes there is fear simply because you don't know what's coming. Dear ones, for 31 years, I have been telling you about change. In 1993, the first book that was released told you about now. It told you that you would not then have a termination of humanity on or about the year 2000 or even in the first 10 years after 2000. That the scriptures that you have come to know and study said otherwise. And we told you this is changed. This is something you changed. The future has changed. It is changed. And that is what the message of that book was, called The End Times. A funny title, some would say. A fearful doom title, some would say. But it's a metaphor. It's the end of an old time. The book title reflects that of the message of the Maya calendar. And so many of the indigenous of this planet who saw that something was coming, for thousands of years looking into the skies, they realized there was an earth wobble of about 26,000 years. And the indigenous and the ancients, who were often guided by the stars and the positions of them, the equinoxes and all of these things, saw something coming. It would be when that wobble of the earth would center itself and start a new wobble. And that centering would happen in December 21, 2012. And that became then the marker. And you might notice that in your scriptures, for all of these years, you have seen that the earth wouldn't make it. There would be so much. The World War III, the Armageddon, whatever you wanted to call it, was prophesied everywhere. You really weren't expected to make it. But you did. I arrived in 1989 with a grand message. And the message was that there would be no Armageddon. The End Times book stated this clearly. Something else was going to happen. Dear ones, you're sitting right now in that something else. You moved past that which was the prediction of the end. And here you are sitting at a time that has really no predictions. Did you think of that? Whether it's your scripture, whether it's Nostradamus, whether it's the esoterics, there are no ancient predictions that bring you to this place. Oh, there are plenty of current ones. And the current ones are still often doom and gloom. Just lately, you've been given information, if it's not frightening enough, about things to happen in the next few months. And the astrology it actually would confirm issues that you are going through if you looked at it. Never in your life have there been most of the planets in retrograde. Did you think of that? Interesting times, isn't it, that you are living in? I had a name for it, and I want to revisit that in this message. The name I gave for it just recently, right now, is the winter of consciousness. Let me tell you how this is working so you'll feel better about the fact that you are on target, on schedule. I told you there would be changes. 31 years. The messages have wound up to this place. Some have been cryptic, some metaphoric. But I told you that, dear ones, there is change coming. And I also told you that if you wanted to know more about what that change really truly was, you might see the predictions of the ancients who said, if you made it past that precession of equinox, past that 2012 time, if you made it, it would be the beginning of the highest consciousness the planet had ever had. With high consciousness, you have the end of war. You don't have the end of disagreements, dear one, because humans have free choice. You have the end of war, the kind that would terminate humanity. Now, some have said, well, that's impossible. The impossibility is that human nature will always drive you to the same place. I have news for you. Contrary to anything you've ever studied or heard or been taught, human nature is a moving target. Human nature starts to change with a higher consciousness maturity. What's been happening on your planet that you would said you never thought would happen? Not the pandemic. I'm talking about things that were different. Perhaps good news that you never thought would happen. For hundreds of years, there has been an inequality with the genders, so much so that one gender would be over another, and the other gender, the women, could do nothing about it. It wasn't just hundreds of years, perhaps it was human nature for thousands of years. And suddenly that changed with what you call the Me Too movement. Now, dear ones, think about it. That is a maturing of human nature and consciousness. That's when a confluence happens. That is a majority, if you wish, an intermingling of a higher idea that starts to take hold and starts to work. You've had some of the clergy for hundreds of years been responsible for abhorrent things with children and got away with it. And now you have even the leader of the clergy making differences. We predicted that leader. We predicted that leader would make those changes. That's the first time in hundreds of years that you're starting to see dark things come out into the open and be settled. You are right now in a place where other things are coming to the surface. I speak now to those of my partner's citizenship in America. It's time for change, and you know it. It's not that which happened in the past where the change would happen, but really wouldn't. Meaning that it would rear its head again, and there would be demonstrations, and there would be those who were distraught in the horror of what happens, and inequalities. And then they would go away, and then they'd recur, and then they'd go away, and then they'd recur. But now, dear ones, it's just like these other things I'm telling you. The reason you see so much unrest right now in this country is that finally they're looking for a solution. And they're not going to let it go unless there's a solution. This is different. This is a change. This is what we've been talking about, and here it is. Some interpret this as the worst thing that could happen, and you say, look at the unrest and look at all of this and what's happening. What's happening is maturity. What's happening is growing up. What's happening is that the old ways are not going to work anymore. The winter of consciousness is a description, a metaphor of the seasons. You are at the winter where the leaves are falling off the trees and it's becoming bitter cold and you don't know what's next. What follows winter, dear ones? You know. The sun will come out. The trees will have leaves again. That is a metaphor for things that start to be solved. Nothing happens quickly here. You know that. Nothing. But at least the seeds can be planted and grow that start solutions. And Americans will start a process of not electing anyone unless they are on board with the solutions. Do you see how this may be different? Do you see? If you are one watching this and not an American, you may look here and see so much unrest and say, what is going on with your country? I just gave it to you. And this country is not alone. There are some things happening on the planet, not as much in this country, that are also going to be exposed soon. The slavery of young women who are taken from their families and sometimes birthed in places just to be of service to men. Slavery. Dear ones, it's rampant. There are thousands. And it's all underground, you might say. It's always been there. Suddenly, it's going to rear its head. I want you to see how it's being funded. Then I want you to take a breath. You won't believe it. And it's going to come forth. All part of a new human nature. This is the message of Kryon. If you want to say, what is the overall message? It's always been this. You'd reach a time when you'd start to grow up. Grow up in maturity, in consciousness, so you would never kill one another in mass in a war. Unconscionable is the word. A higher consciousness that starts to make sense on the planet where you start to get along. And that your leaders, they won't last long unless they echo what the old souls of this planet are going to demand. Solutions or the beginning of them. Progress, finally. That's what's going on. Can you sit and celebrate it in the pandemic when you're experiencing, in some places, a reboot of the way things are? The new normal. A word that I've used now for some years is here. The new human, which I've used for years, is here. That's what's going on right now. Do you have the courage to celebrate it wherever you sit, no matter what's going on in your life? Can you sit and be peaceful for a moment? Can you sit and be healed of fear and anxiety for a moment? Can you sit and realize how much you're loved for a moment? A spotlight comes on you, and you realize the angels are here, and they're looking. And there's so much love. You will get through all of this, old soul. One of the reasons you're here, to hear some of the things that may help. I'm Kryon in love with humanity. And this is the message, and always will be, for a new human on a new planet called Earth. And so it is.
Take another breath and just let your awareness of the Star Mother's promise that when we awaken from our sleep of humanity, when these codes are being used to give you a new awareness, their promise to us is that our intuitive inner guidance will begin to come on in a way that we have not experienced.
So as you take another breath and settle into that promise and that prophecy of the love from the Star Mothers, the love from Kryon and the entourage, and how we are in delicious gratitude for being here together at this time, in this place as family, and all that is being offered to us, and all that we have to share. We thank the source of all love. We thank that love that resides deep inside of us, in our hearts, in our souls, and in our Akashic memory, as we move from the unseen to the seen in our life, in our world. Take another breath and let that open the place inside of you that is here to receive these beautiful messages, these pearls of wisdom and truth that will echo in your being. And you will say, yes, this is why I am here.
So it is good day to you, huh? Very good to see your energy, your light, your brightness, your divine presence. We give thanks to the Star Mothers for their presence as well. You see, there are so many tools that you can use. We want to remind you that they are tools. It is like, have you ever tried to drive a nail into a board without using a hammer? It is not an easy task. It is better to use the correct tool, yes? Have you ever tried to listen to someone's heartbeat without using a stethoscope? You can hear the heartbeat, but it's not as clear. So it is important to have the correct tools. Our vessel Marilyn was reminded of some of the tools this morning. Not that we ask you to give your power away to others who have all kinds of things to do for you, but someone in this group said something about drawing a card this morning. And our vessel Marilyn realized she did not draw one either. So we drew one for you. This card is from an app, you know, the miracles of modern technology, that is wisdom of our dearest friend Kryon, in the energy as it comes through. And she drew the same card that she picked in the physical deck as she did in the electronic deck. That is why she had to read it to you, because it must mean something. To remind you that your innate, you know what that is, yes? Your innate knows exactly what your body needs. My intuition calls, tells, acknowledges me, and connects the intimate that is within. My body celebrates the success of our communication. Not mine necessarily, but ours, as in the collective, And the results are radiant health and vitality. What does it mean to have radiant health and vitality? How many of you would like that? So these group over here, you don't necessarily want that radiant health. Is that correct? Thank you. You see, it is only our own belief that we cannot have it that seems to stop us sometimes. We know that illness is connected to an emotional body. Illness is connected to emotion. And now sometimes we say, it is difficult to tell someone who has a diagnosis of cancer, well, why did you create that, That is not what we are saying. How you respond to that is what we are saying. To have the correct tools in your toolbox, and to know that the correct tools in your toolbox are your innate. They are within you. Your intuition never leaves you. Sometimes you want it to speak as loud as some big actor on the television or on the big movie screen, IMAX size voice. And instead it is the size of a voice that is like the smallest butterfly. But you see, that innate is still there. Take a deep breath. Just as the star mothers are still there. Take a deep breath. Just as the guidance of Kryon is still there. Take a deep breath. And dearest beings of light, even though it may surprise you, the energy of Adironda is still there. Take a deep breath. You see, they are each a part of your innate. They are each a part of that wisdom that is anchoring in every cell of your field. They are each a part of you, even though they may not sound like Archivist or Marilyn or us or Lee Carroll or the divine Amber. They may sound like you. So you get the opportunity to understand and breathe into those tools. Breathe into that wisdom, because that wisdom is love. That wisdom is that energy that is within you 24/7. Even if you get angry with that love and send it away in the form of some human body, too bad, the body just may leave, but not the love. For that love is, what do they say it is? Eternal, infinite. And that love is in every cell of your body, no matter what. Even if it has cells that have been diagnosed with some disease or some ailment, or you have that pain in your back or pain in your neck and your pain in your patootie. Yes, you see, that is just the universe asking you, so are you a pain in the patootie sometimes? Huh? And if you are, why? What is that reflection? How are you to grow from it? How are you to magnify yourself into the drive that is coming in, into the wisdom that is you? As we have asked you yesterday to stop denying your own wisdom and start breathing into it. That is what we are anchoring in you right now. Take a deep breath. As you say yes. Yes to the wisdom. Yes to the love. Yes to the anchoring of the energy. Dearest beings of light, that are you. You know, when you say to yourself, oh, I've got this pain, this anchor, this blah, 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 blah. Do you know, we've told you many times before, that is your purchase order. Our vessel Marilyn and the Joy says, change your bracelet. Stop complaining about something that you can do something about. Well, stop complaining about everything. Period. Because that complaint is every much a purchase order as, I'm perfect and wonderful and healthy. Now the key is, when you say I'm perfect and wonderful and healthy, your cells get to buy that. And sometimes there's a little voice inside of your head that says, that's not true. How many of you have heard that little voice? Huh? So these 3 people up here, let's talk to you. So you see, when you hear that little voice that seems to argue with every positive thought you're asking your heart to feel, trust that your heart knows the truth. Breathe. And that little voice, we actually teach you tomorrow, on Monday, how to quiet that little voice and how to channel. But today, let us just turn to that little voice, that little, it is not monkey mind, because we love monkeys. It is your voice, your ego, that says that you cannot. So just turn to it and say, thank you. I love you. Now be quiet. Just be quiet. I've got this one. For you see, your ego is a part of you. Professor Marilyn keeps asking, but why? And that is how you grow. That is how you evolve. But you are still in charge of it. You're innate. And the innate is much, 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 much. Do you get that much? Larger than your ego. So just love it where it is and ask it to be quiet. So you can acknowledge the perfect divine health that you are. The perfect divine love that you are. The perfect divine radiance that you are. And for that, we are grateful. Just as we are grateful for you. And you. And you. Now be grateful for yourself, huh? We honor you. And we bid you namaste. Namaste.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. Beautiful message about Aranda. It's about enablement, dear ones. It speaks of what you can do. And you might ask, why is it that channel after channel continues to list these kinds of things as though you didn't know them? And the answer is because you didn't know them. And so I want to then revisit an energy shift just briefly. And it's going to sound like something perhaps we have said before, and you'd be right. Because these are the messages of the age. Things that will be repeated in different words for a long time. They must, because they are different and there are new ears to hear them and new eyes to read them. And it basically stems from an old versus new paradigm of existence. Most of those who would listen to these kinds of channelings, these kinds of spiritual messages, most of you have slogged through a time where the energy was far different. Just a few years ago, dear ones, I tell you that the things that you would call dark or negative, or that which you would call resistance to light, was very powerful. Those of you who would look at history know this, absolutely know this. Where you would see that history is packed with dysfunction and sadness and horror, all caused by that which is a dark energy which seemed to prevail on this planet, and not just a while ago, but for a very long time. We've spoken of an evolvement of your human spirit, an evolvement even of your DNA, which allows some magnificent things. But the biggest thing is enablement. The question would be asked, well, why do we have to keep telling you what you can accomplish? Shouldn't it be then obvious to you? And the answer, it is not obvious. Because of the past that you have walked through, because of the things that you've experienced that did not work, because of the sadness that you've had over and over when you tried things with light and they seemed to be beat back. This was the age, dear ones, of a disconnection. This is the age of a connection. To make things even more difficult, those of you in spiritual systems, we're told that it is not possible for the human soul to contact or talk to, or even be part of a discussion with, that which is the creative source. That there is a disconnection. You were also told by the millions, if not billions, that you were born on this planet dysfunctional, perhaps even dirty, and somehow that kept you from connecting. And this has been the story. Enhanced it is by the energy of the past, the feelings of the past, the paradigm of feeling helpless. Even if you were spiritual, it was tough. And suddenly we are saying that what the ancients predicted is here. That with the precession of the equinoxes and more, you enter an age of compassion that you earned. We also told you this was not necessarily going to happen this way. In fact, many of your prophecies did not have you living much past the year 2000 or even 2010. So many of the dark prophecies, we'll call them, had humanity terminated, and you didn't go that direction. Instead, you're here. Instead, you're here in a new energy paradigm, and that is what you're not fully aware of or realizing. You'll come to a meeting like this, you'll listen to a channel like this, and you'll say, what pearls of wisdom today do you have, Kryon? And I will say to you, the pearl of wisdom is wake up to the new energy which is here and has been here for years, enabling you to drop the things that you don't need and pick up the things that you do, the tools that are here, just like Adironda said. And the biggest tool is connection. You are connected. You have the ability of direct communication. You always have. But in this energy, it's so obvious. It ought to be self-evident. You can sit and connect to the Creator itself, that which puts you here, soul by soul. And we say it yet again and again. Doesn't it make sense that the love, the amazing love of God, doesn't it make sense that there would be a system of loving contact with you? Every soul on this planet is actually a piece of the Creator. Hard for you to understand. But in a multidimensional way, it's easy. Things are all connected. The oneness of everything. You are one with the Creator. But even more, your soul belongs to the Creator. And in that you are entitled to sit and communicate, to stand and communicate, to be one with the Creator, to ask for intuition, to pick up the tools, to change your life, not have somebody you have to go through. You are magnificent, born magnificent. It's time to see that, open that door. That door that's been hidden all of this time by others who would tell you, you can't, you won't, you shouldn't. And suddenly you can see the door shining before you and you open it. And that door will yell at you, new energy, magnificence. This is who you are. This is what's been hiding. And now the wind is at your back. That's the message. It always has been the message. And the reason we keep repeating it, because the past is still with you. What you couldn't do, you carry into this meeting. What you were told is or is not possible was carried into this meeting intact. And yet we have to tell you one more time that there is an enablement happening here that is different from anything, anytime, ever on this planet. This is new. And the only way you're going to believe it is to claim it. A moment ago, Adironda said that what stops you is the belief. If you don't believe it, how are you going to claim it? How is it going to be possible? You've got to drop the old paradigm of unworthiness and disbelief. Take a deep breath and say, all the things that I was told are questionable in this energy. Everything I was told is questionable in this energy. And there were those who say, oh, I understand, you're supposed to drop what you were told by others, and now it's time to believe Kryon. I'm going to tell you the truth. What I want you to do is believe in yourself. What I want you to do is try these things. Cognize that you can do them. And with your abilities and tools to move forward. How many of you were told that you couldn't change your biology? You catch a disease, it's over. Did you know that that is completely and totally changed? That consciousness, being energy, can actually imbue itself into the cells of your body and speak to the disease and say, you are inappropriate here. And they'll get the message. Did you know you could increase your lifespan? How many of those in charge of your spirituality and the systems told you that? Was that something completely and reserved for the prophet? And you couldn't? Or is it possible the prophet was showing you what you could do all of this time? That's the door you open. That's enablement. That's your magnificence. That's the message. That's the message we're going to continue, even into later today. The wind is at your back in a way that never has been. God knows who you are in a way that's connected to you as never before. You ought to think of these things. I'm not here for you to believe me. I'm here for you to take the information and experiment with it and try it. And what you take away will be your discovery in your words and your energy. And that's the way it must be for things to change on this planet. Not humans believing in still another doctrine, but humans believing in themselves. There's more. And so it is.